That's it.
Right, start streaming. They'll probably hear a bit of our talking while I cue up the music. So we
That's
keep
all right.
talky talk, talk,
Well,
talky
yes,
talk.
yeah.
You're supposed to say rhubarb
we
in
can have
it's supposed to say rhubarb in crowd scenes, aren't you?
I remember seeing on. Okay, there's the
We're going. Sing the theme tune. Sing the theme
Why have we never had a black superhero except that's what you'd probably be saying if you were one of the absolute.
Good evening and welcome to another 14 words. Yeah. Actually, speaking about horror, loosely talking about horror, I've been trying to read again because my concentration is absolutely shot. So I'm actually trying to read real books. So I bought the Clive Barker's Books of Blood, volumes 4 to 6, and I actually read the short story of Candyman, the story it's based on. Did you know Candyman has been blackwashed?
No. What was
the
that?
The original story of Candyman, he is set in an English council estate, and the Candyman. One of the things about him. If you give me a sec, I'll see if I can just talk for a second. I'll see if I can find the.
Yeah, because after the thing you were saying about Purple Aki, I thought that no, Candyman's been Purple Aki'd.
Yeah, he's been Purple Aki'd. Yeah.
After that story, I mean, there was a lot of things I didn't know about Purple Aki, and things which even Count Dankula didn't say. I would like to say, as I loaded up the YouTube today to click on the link for 14 words, The Drinker, extra shots doing Blade, which is a film about vampires, and it's one of the best
everyone knew
ones.
we were doing vampires tonight, didn't they?
That's it. So the Scottish bloke must be listening to us and doing like 1 day in advance
Copying
vampires,
us.
or yeah, maybe there's something in the collective unconscious where it's just we're all going to talk about KSI Sniper saying "you Mike." Is he referring to me or is he referring to Hemi?
I don't know.
We'll have to figure that one. But it's not a new mic in my case. It's just I'm using a different chair. Thank you, chairs and microphones for racists. And so I'm at a different position to what I am normally.
I'm just trying to find the description of the Candyman.
Yeah. Well, whilst you're looking at the description of the Candyman, I thought we'd start off today's episode with talking about vampires, what they are depicted in fiction, and then talking about a bit of the mythology.
Oh, so here we go. Description of the Candyman. He was bright to the point of gaudiness, his flesh a waxy yellow, his thin lips pale blue, his wild eyes glittering as if their irises were set with rubies. His jacket was a patchwork, his trousers the same. He looked, she thought, almost ridiculous with his blood-stained motley and the hint of rouge on his jaundiced cheeks. So there you go.
You said he was yellow. It was a high yellow.
Yes, maybe they just misread it and thought he was a high yellow.
That's it. Yeah. So yes. I now I'm thinking Candyman, who is not a vampire, but Blade is a vampire.
Yeah.
Although he's not like
he's not he's not a vampire. He's a daywalker.
I thought he was a vampire.
No, he's a daywalker. He's half vampire. Because his mum was preggers and she got bit by a vampire. That's why he can walk around in the day.
Oh, I see. A likely excuse to explain to the man why the baby's not his. Yeah. I didn't know that. I just thought, oh, cool, it's a film about a vampire that slays other vampires, because why not?
Well, you're talking about vampire on vampire crime. There is an epidemic of vampire on vampire crime, isn't there?
Yeah, stop this black on black. Hang on, black on black hearted violence. But Bella Lugiosi's dead. Hey, you know what? I've gone ahead. I'm treating this episode like I'm a special guest, and I've even got some images. So you know the one that
Jim
Bella
Cook says
Lugiosi.
undead lives matter.
Yeah. So Hemi, if you can play, like, I'm not sure if you want to do a slideshow or just like show that image.
What image?
Bella Lugiosi. Bella
Why are you saying
Lugiosi
Lugiosi? There's no extra I in it, I bet.
Is there not? Hang on.
Bella
Let me have a look at
Lugosi.
Lugosi. Bella Lugosi. Let's have a look.
This is what happens to people when you have special needs people on your streams with you.
Look, he's got a foreign name. You can't expect me to pronounce it properly. If it was French, that'd be different, but it's not French, and even then I struggle with that.
I'm getting there. Hold on, I'm getting there.
If I was, like, the very first thing that comes to mind when I think of a vampire is this actor here, and he's got some interesting. He's got a waistcoat. He's got a robe. He has an interesting medallion on a.
Yeah, that's like that's the standard Dracula look, isn't it? Because the guy in Monster Squad looked very similar to that. Monster Squad, which, by the way, is a great film.
I'm sure I've seen him with a different pendant as well. That's like there's.
It's like some sort of I don't know what it is. It's some sort of. It's some sort of badge of office, isn't it? I think.
Or I think it is to explain sort of like what society is in, because the vampires have got a bit of a society. But I found out today that Dracula specifically means son of the devil. It's got a bit to do with Vlad Dracula or Vlad Dracul. That's not really what I want to talk more about vampires in general. Although we did briefly want to touch on Lilith, didn't we?
Yeah, we can get there.
So why are you mentioning Lilith?
She's reportedly one of the first vampires, isn't she?
Okay. So yeah, because I don't know where they come from, but it's like you've got a creature which feeds on the blood of the living and is a parasite, and seems to only be able to do this stuff because it gets permission to do it. And like you think, well, why would anyone say, okay, you're a blood-sucking parasite?
There's the Dracula from the Monster Squad. That dude was a really good Dracula.
But what about the one from the Munsters? That's my favourite Dracula.
Oh, Grandpa from the Munsters. I don't know. Find Grandpa from the Run.
Now, is it the Addams Family? I'll put one in Doodling Pad as well. Is it Addams Family or the Munsters, where one of them has this dark bulb, and when you turn it on, it takes all the light out of a room?
I don't know about that.
Jim Cookie says, I'm sensing a word, ends in Abai and begins with Rab. Yeah, I don't know about that either, but it is interesting. There's a lot of stuff in there. And the Count from Sesame Street. Oh yeah, he's a famous vampire.
Oh yeah.
But the thing is,
it's
was
a
one
bit
of
like
those
Mark
things.
Collett, doesn't he? The Count from Sesame Street.
What, you're saying the Count's a Norman? I always thought he was Slavic of some sort. He sounds Slavic.
So I found Grandpa Munster.
Oh yeah. There we go. And he's got a medallion as well. They all like their medallions, don't they?
Yeah, it's some sort of it's like a ambassadors wear them and things like that, don't they? It's like some sort of high office thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, like a mayoral brooch as well.
Well, it's not, is it? Because we all know Dracula's a count, so it's like it must be some sort of something like that. So it's some sort of badge of aristocracy.
No, he's got a prominent aristocratic Dracula nose as well. So
14 Travels reminds us that Ernie and Bert were bummers.
Yeah, well, it's implied.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure now with Sesame Street they'd just be like, oh yeah, they were always gay, didn't you know?
Yeah.
So
because it's important to know where puppets put their dick, isn't it?
Yeah, or that they have genitals and because they're puppets.
Yeah, because if kids don't know where they stick their dick, it's how can you really know anything about someone if you don't know where they stick their dick?
Yes, that needs to be the first and foremost thing, especially when talking about vampires. Is the sexuality of Count Chocula? No, he's not Count Chocula, is he? He's purple. Why is he?
I just came in on this one. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. We're talking about vampires today, and it's like the vampire in Sesame Street. He's not called Count Chocula, is he?
No, that's a cereal puppet.
He's purple. It's another thing. That's also so. Anyway, the term vampire. Where do we get that from? According to this, it's a noun. Yeah, I knew figure that bit. It's a spectral being in the human body who maintains semblance of life by leaving the grave at night to suck the warm blood of the living.
In the good old days, they were kind of seen. They were basically zombies, weren't they?
Well, it's funny you should mention that because I'll go into this a bit more and I'll read it all out for people. And I'm not saying I agree with all of this, but let's just read it out. You can be your own judge. So, living as sleep, 1732, vampire, from French vampire or German vampire. It was 1732, like the English word.
Isn't dampier? Isn't dampier? Isn't that another?
Maybe, but we're getting to it. It says it's the word first in an account of Hungarian vampires, and that's based on the poem. And where did I have that poem? Is it here? No, that's actually nothing to do with that.
See now I want to play the Jumbo Sesame Street, the old
Monster Mash.
No, Sesame Street. Tell me how to get with the banging techno with it.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Who did that? Chrome and Time. Was it Chrome and Time?
I don't. If Chrome and Time did Sesame Street, it might have been Rat Pack. But I think I know all of Chrome and Time's songs. Let me just check. So, first appearance of vampires in fiction. I think that's what I put in as a search term. And list of vampire traits of folklore, evolution of vampires, the earliest fiction. Let's go with that. Because apparently it was in the mid-1700s, there was vampires, there was a spate of vampirism in Serbia. And then some German bloke wrote a poem in 1732 called Vampire. Let's see. Vampirismus by Baron Gerhard van Swieten, 1768. That's not the one. Well, all right. But anyway, let's get back to the definition of vampires.
They were called an English rave group called Smart Ease.
Oh yeah, Smart Ease.
Yeah, Smart Ease.
Or German vampires. Here we go. 1732 English first account of Hungarian vampires. From Hungarian vampire, from Old Church Slavonic opiri, source also of Serbian vampire, Bulgarian vapir, Ukrainian upa, said by Slavic linguist Frank Mikoslik to be ultimately from Kazan Tatars ubia witch. But Max Vasmer, an expert in this linguistic area, finds that phonetically doubtful.
Right. So in Balkans folklore, dampirs, sometimes spelt dampirs or dampires, are creatures that are a result of a union between a vampire and a mortal human. This union was usually between male vampires and female mortal humans, with stories of female vampires mating with mortal humans being rare.
And I believe a synonym for that is also a mamza. But more about that later. We'll get to that bit. We're getting that. So, an Eastern European creature popularised in English by the late 19th century Gothic novels. However, there are scattered English accounts of night walking, blood gorge, plague spreading undead corpses from as far back as 1196. Figurative sense of person who preys on others, vampire, is from
Hobbit. Can I just remind you of an article that I've found in the Footsteps of Monsters? Blood libel, the anti-Semitic roots of vampirism.
Oh, actually, considering what next hour is going to be like, do you want to save that for the next?
Okay,
hour?
then we'll do that one later. I just thought I'd Google vampires anti-Semitic and see how long it took.
I will just give this as a teaser to the audience. I got curious about vampire lore and thought, is there any like real world evidence for vampiric actions? And I immediately thought of rabies, but no, rabies doesn't really account for it. But we'll get there. So related vampiric. The spread of the story about this time is perhaps traceable to a pamphlet published in 1732. The title page reads Dissertationem de hominibus postmortem sanguiniscis versus dictis vampirian. Great, yeah. Let's just carry on talking in Latin, shall we? And that was published by someone in like. Okay, that's great. MDCC. So that would be 1700 XXXII. So it's 1732. So yeah, something about post-mortem blood, vulgar sic dictis. I don't know enough Latin, but okay. So even in Latin, there's a term vampirian, and I'm thinking, has it got anything to do with pyres? But no, it probably doesn't have anything to do. Well, mind you, funeral pyre is PYRE. Maybe I'm drawing at straws here, but yeah. So there we go. There's a famous depiction of a vampire.
I've just put on the screen one of the scariest vampires that was ever depicted.
Ah, that's from the Pink News section of vampires. Those creatures only come out at night, and they do suck on something, but it's not necessarily blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Montague Summers.
Let's see if I can find
realistic. Sorry.
What one? Sorry.
Summers. Montague Summers' books on vampires and demonology and stuff, very carefully annotated and stuff. Vampire, his kid, and others. He's good. He wrote about demonology and witchcraft, but his stories that you would buy into, his vampire and werewolf stuff is pretty fascinating.
I've got an image which I'm not sure we can share on the YouTube, so I'm going to put it in the Telegram chat for anybody who wants to see this. But I do encourage people. We got a 40 words thing there. Do go on it, because all of the like materials I've been using or will be using for this show is all in there. And there's one I just found of the Count, and he's attacking Bert's credit score, but I'm not going to read out the entire caption. Yeah, it's there in the chat.
I got to admit that vampire. Has anyone ever seen the 70s Salem lot with what's his name? Who was in it? David Soul was in it. You remember that one, don't you, Clown X?
Yeah, didn't he live on the River Thames? He lived in a boat down there.
Dude, David Soul
David Soul.
Well, I was talking about do you remember the Salem's Lot he was in? That scared the living shit out of me when I was a kid. It wasn't even like the big scary. It wasn't even the big scary bad vampire. It was his mate when he was like tapping on the window and scraping his nails down the window, going, "Please let me in, please let me in." It was scary as fuck. That bit was.
Yeah, because the acting was pretty good.
Yeah.
Remember the guy's like, "Look at me."
Yeah.
That guy was in a lot of weird movies. Yeah. That one goes back. That one's even early for me. That one.
That's a really good one. I weren't that old when I saw that for the first time.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to send a video to Hemi, and let's see, because it's not quite personal. It's more a case of like somebody got one of those genetic test kits, like find out what your ethnicity is, and did a swab in like an iguana's thing, an iguana's mouth, and it came up with some interesting results. And it was one of those rabbit holes I went down when I was looking up some other things. So this dates back from, when did I post this actually? It was all been around about June the 22nd. Yeah, that's last week.
That's how I'm going to put up. I'm going to put up the the bedroom scene we're talking about, Hobbit. This scared the bejesus out of a young me. Hold on a sec.
You just added a browsersaurus. That's pretty cool.
I really should learn to hide these things when I'm setting them up.
Well, no, it's all right. This is part of the show. Doing this is authentic.
Why can't I hear that? Because it just makes it quiet.
You probably don't want to play the audio.
Oh, we'll just talk all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine that. You're little old me watching this on the fucking portable TV in your bedroom.
Well, I think when I was about 6 years old, I saw Red Sonja. I think I was with my relatives, and they were watching it on the TV late at night, and I was just sort of like I was hiding around the corner so they wouldn't notice me. And I saw the scene where they decapitate some guy and the head sort of rolls around.
Yeah.
And I thought, cool. And then I got bollocks because I wasn't supposed to see that. 14 Travel says he's going to get bummed.
Who, that kid?
Now, that kid's there, and you see a creepy like thing in the mists out there, and like, what? You don't want to let it in, so what is it? Hypnotism? Is that what they're doing? Is that the? Because all I can think there is just like, I definitely don't want you here to do your thing.
Oh, you haven't seen this, have you? So you don't know how it ends, do you?
No, I've never.
Hypnotism is a running theme with vampires, that they hypnotise their victims. It's why they use women quite a lot, so that they can subdue men.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So of course that's with their, they're carefully
well, because they also don't want the prey to realise it's being bled, do they? Because they want to bleed you to death, don't they?
With Count Dracula, something that in the books. I think
there you go. That's that. That made me sleep with my covers over my head for fucking years. That did.
I'm not. I don't blame you, because that was not nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so there's like there's
Peter Pan with HIV, says Marco.
Yes. Yes, it is. So
Exorcist
there's been a lot of depictions
was an ordeal. Sorry.
So
Peter Blackman.
A lot of depictions of vampires' infection, and it's a recurring theme. And I think one of the things you can definitely say is they need to feast on blood in order to continue living.
Yeah.
And what I find interesting about that is I just found there were some articles, and I thought, oh, you know what? We should do an episode.
Do you remember
about
the autopsy scene in Is It Blade 2? Where they put because they have those super vampires, don't they? Like your Matt Bros. Yeah, you
Isn't
remember
that
Blade
the guy
2?
from Prison? Isn't
Ross.
the guy from Prison Break? Isn't he like vampire?
He's in the third one. He plays Dracula.
Oh yeah, that was it. And isn't it the saying in that he's like the original vampire?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean,
they use his blood to create a vaccine. Pfizer make a vaccine that kills all the vampires, don't they?
Oh, okay. Oh,
Actually, I would have used, what's the one that's inflaming everybody's hearts at the moment? They should have just got them to make a vaccine to protect vampires from sunlight. They would have sorted it then, wouldn't they?
yeah. Well, this is the thing. I was going to mention something about the blood stuff, and I don't think I've actually put it. No, I haven't got it here in any of the 14 word stuff. But have you seen that thing where they've been giving mice blood transfusions from young mice, and it makes them live longer?
Yes, I've heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Something about dementia as well.
yeah,
It lowers dementia in mice.
So, I mean, I understand blood it's a nutrient soup which is oxygenated, and it gives life to all the tissues in your body. But how is it that it's doing this sort of stuff? So I think next thing I need to look at is that story. So let's read it out. So I'm going to see mice given young blood, and let's see if that brings it up. Young blood renews old mice, and that's in Science Mag. So let's see if oh, hang on, what am I doing? No, I don't need that browser open. Young blood renews old mice. Could the elixir of youth be as simple as a protein found in young blood? In recent years, researchers studying mice found that giving old animals blood from young ones can reverse some signs of aging. And last year, one team identified a growth factor in the blood they think is partly responsible for the anti-aging effect on specific tissue, the heart. Another group has shown the same factor can also rejuvenate muscle and the brain. Here's an interesting thing. So, she's not a vampire, but you know Elizabeth Bathory?
Yeah.
She used to bathe in blood, and that was part of her beauty regimen.
I did read in the 14 Times that they thought that maybe Elizabeth Bathory was being stitched up. Being a powerful woman who don't need no man, they think she was stitched up by the local nobles.
That to me sounds a bit like a feminist retconning.
It does a bit, doesn't it? Well, you know, the 14 words does sway a bit left. I think that's the only problem.
Yeah, the traditional story is that they had a bunch of investigators tabulate the number of deaths that they could directly attribute to her, and the number's 650. So that's 650 pubescent.
Did they hide 16?
Girls.
Is there 16 they couldn't find?
Oh yeah. But at the very least, they can say definitely 650 pubescent girls was good. I found it interesting. It's not prepubescent, but it is pubescent girls. I don't know, like maybe Elizabeth Bathory like murdered a prepubescent girl and found her blood wasn't suitable. I don't know, but. What I find interesting with that is, do you remember Maria Abramovich, the spirit of cooking witch?
She's Abramovich, isn't she? She's not Abramovich.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh. She, I mean, she's like 70 years old. Well, she's more than 70 now, because that was about 5 years ago, that spirit cooking story.
Yeah.
And she does not look 70 years old. And
I think you should get psychic vampires. Have you ever been like around one of those people that you feel like they're sucking the fucking life out of you? What are you talking to?
Yeah, my ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
And it sounds like she got it from her mum as well. I mean, but I mean, we all joke about it, but there are men and women who are psychic vampires, and they just drain you of your emotions, and not pleasant to be around. Well, I say not pleasant to be around. I mean, the sex was fun, but ultimately it wasn't.
Yeah, the sex is amazing, but the crippling depression that comes with it's not quite so fun.
Well, maybe that was just part of like the emotion harvesting, because she got all these things of like love and joy and all that from me from those intimate moments.
You know what they call that? They call that a succubus.
Yeah. But no, it's psychic vampire as well. That could.
Well, at least you get a bit of nookie with a succubus. The psychic vampires just fucking drain you of all energy, don't they?
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Free says Blade fought the Taxman and lost. That's true. He was.
Yeah.
But then came back in the Expendables.
That's one bloodsucker he couldn't kill. Am I right?
Yeah, that's it.
Didn't Wesley Snipes win that case?
He had
No,
to
he
serve
did
time in
time.
prison.
Oh, did he? Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's why you don't see him for a long time, except for in the Expendables when he's in that train and breaks out of it. Why is it I can remember films with trains in them? Maybe Capstan was right. Well,
Dracula's daughter had lesbian overtones, quite progressive for the 1930s.
Ah, yeah. Taxman be badder than vampires, or who do you think runs the Inland Revenue?
I have no idea, but
It would win Dracula or the Taxman.
This is the thing. Hope and hyper high in the anti-aging research arena and other research caution the work is preliminary. Yeah, they say stuff like that. I mean, this article's from 2014, but there is a lot of evidence, both historical and present, suggesting that blood therapy's been used for a while. And actually, we'll get into that later, because I did a bit of digging and I just found, is there like blood transfusions used for anything besides like somebody's bleeding a lot, they've got to have some blood put in them? There was even that episode of The Simpsons, weren't there, where Bart Simpson becomes a blood donor for Montgomery Burns.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Have you not? Let me just see. Episode of Simpsons where Bart donates blood for Mr. Burns. Bart saves Mr. Burns' life.
You ever seen Near Dark Hobbit? That's a decent vampire movie.
What's the one with Kiefer Sutherland in where he's a
The
jerk?
Lost Boys. Apparently, the Lost Boys is based on Peter Pan. I know it's like mega obvious, but until somebody pointed out to me, I didn't fucking realise it.
You know what? I haven't really. Is Peter Pan the one where they got like the kids and they're smoking cigars and turn into donkeys?
Yeah. No.
Oh, okay. So
no, isn't that Pinocchio?
Okay. I've not seen Peter Pan then. Wait, Peter Pan's got Captain Hook.
Peter Pan
and
literally hangs around with the Lost Boys.
Oh, they call them Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Sleep all day, party all night. It's fun being a vampire. Oh, so here we go.
My favourite line from the Lost Boys is when he goes, "My own brother, a shit sucking vampire."
Shit sucking vampire. Ugh.
Yeah.
I just remember that was a bit where like Kiefer Sutherland's using his vampire powers of illusion, and he's saying, "Are you enjoying your egg fried maggots?" And it's what?
Yeah.
And then like it looks down. And it's
how are
like,
you worms?
Oh, it's worms.
No,
yeah,
he does both. He's eating noodles and he goes, "How are your worms?" Don't he? And then he goes, "Oh, how's your egg fried rice?"
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm looking here. The director,
Well,
David Silver.
Everyone's giving me shit for saying vampires suck shit. Basically, it's just Americans. They don't know where to put words like arse and shit. They always put them in the wrong place. And they always sound like they're gay, don't they? Because they start going on about someone's arse and what they're going to do to it, don't they?
Or a big arse man, and I'm just like, these are things where you can't hear if there's a comma or not in the phrase.
Ruined civilization, man. That's what America's all about.
Yeah. But so here it is. Blood Feud episode aired July the 11th 1991, directed by David Silverman. Bart saved Mr. Burns' life, but Homer becomes enraged when Mr. Burns doesn't return the favor by sending the Simpsons what he considers to be an appropriate thank you gift. Is that how they end up with that Olmec statue in their basement?
Don't know. I haven't seen that episode.
I don't seem to. But that was it. It seems to be like Mr. Burns, for whatever reason, he needs a blood transfusion. Bart gives him the blood for whatever reason. And Mr. Burns feels like he's got a new lease on life now. He's got the young blood. And I think at the end, an appropriate thank you gift is like, well, give them this Olmec statue. So they just dump this massive statue on the lawn. And it's never explained how it quite gets into the basement or not. But for anyone in the new audience, there was this show called The Simpsons. And it used to put out like episodes which were funny. I know it doesn't do it now, but back in the day, it was like funny episodes, and the reason I mention that is because about blood transfusions and
Yeah, it was the Olmec head that Mr. Burns gave him.
oh, so that's where it came. Yeah, it's just like of all things, like just give him an Olmec head
Yeah.
because LOL. There's a lot of strange symbolism in The Simpsons, and maybe it's worth an episode of 14 words in its own right. But so I've
I'm
done
running out of
40
vampire
minutes.
film pictures to think of. I've done Blade. I've done Near Dark.
What
Have you
about
done
from
Lost
Dust-
Boys?
Lost Boys. Okay,
Yeah,
I'll put some Lost Boys. I'll look for some Lost Boys pictures.
and From Dusk Till Dawn? I think's about vampires.
Holy shit!
What
Yeah,
about-
one of my favourite ever films. That is.
And also, considering you mentioned Lilith, which we haven't really discussed because I don't know much about her. What about that Tales from the Crypt film, Bordello of Blood? Lilith's
Oh, I
in
haven't
that.
seen that in fucking years. Do you know Hobbit? The last time I saw that, it was on VHS.
Well,
No.
the movies channel did a whole bunch of Tales from the Crypt stuff, including the 1972 British film, which is very good. If you haven't seen it, look for Tales from the Crypt 1972. And I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. It's a bunch of would-be tourists. No, they are tourists, and they all go exploring some catacombs, and very interesting. I won't say it more than that.
Catacombs.
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 Yes. Ah, I can't. I gotta watch that Twin Peaks film because I still haven't seen it. Where the one with
Fire
Kiefer
Walk with
Sutherland.
Me?
I don't know what the films are called. I've seen the series and I liked it.
Yeah,
But
Fire Walk
apparently
with
there's-
Me's the film. I saw that and I'd never watched any Twin Peaks, so to me it didn't make any sense to me.
No, and that's the thing. You have to watch all of the episodes in order, otherwise it doesn't make sense. And you actually have to pay attention to the episodes as well. That was the thing. When I first watched it, I wasn't really paying attention. I was doing like what I normally do.
Speaking
when
of
I'm
TV
watching.
series, I watched the last episode of The Blacklist and I was very disappointed.
The Blacklist.
Yeah.
Is that? Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's quite an enjoyable It's a good nonsense TV series that doesn't really upset you too
Is it
much.
about a list of black people?
No, it's James Spader's in it, and he's like the greatest criminal in the world, criminal mastermind in the world, and he's got a list of like criminals that are so good that normal coppers don't know anything about them.
So I'm thinking back to that Bordello of Blood film. It's funny enough. Lilith
Isn't that demons?
Well, is Lilith a demon or is she a vampire? Because
She's a
in
demon.
Bordello
She's
of-
the earliest demon. I think she's the earliest demon mentioned in Sumerian text, isn't she?
But does she like live at night and suck blood? Because in Bordello of Blood, she was doing a lot of sucking.
She's supposedly the primordial she-demon and ultimately the first wife of Adam.
Yeah, which isn't mentioned in Genesis. Although I do find it interesting in Genesis, like Cain and Abel. No, hang on.
Well, her first
Cain-
mention is in Isaiah 34:14, apparently.
Yeah, and I think I listened to Isaiah, but there's one of that stuff which didn't really settle in. I think that's why you can read the Bible multiple times, and it's all right because you keep picking up bits here and there. But yeah, I'm almost
She's also
tempted
mentioned
to
in the Babylonian Talmud. In the Book of Adam and Eve as Adam's first wife, and in the Zohar Leviticus 19a as a hot, fiery female who first cohabitated with man.
I know this is a bit of a tangent from vampires, but I do find it interesting that when Cain gets expelled from the Garden of Eden, along with Adam and Eve, they find a city and they go there and they there's a city with human beings there. So even though Adam and Eve are supposed to be the first human beings, wait, they're cities. So what's Genesis then? What's going on? Hang on. I think something's not quite right in this Genesis story when, right there it says, and then you're expelled from the Garden of Eden, and then they founded cities. Well, you can't just found a city on just a man and a woman and your son. But yeah, vampires. Lilith. Lilith's a vampire, and she's in that Tales from the Crypt film, Bordello of Blood, and there was that film is not too pertinent to what we're going to talk about later. That was it. I started looking into what blood transfusions are being doing.
So apparently in the Rosh Hashanah, she was created at the same time as Adam and from the same clay as Adam.
Was Adam made from clay?
Yeah.
Oh. I thought, what does it say in Genesis? Is it made from dust or? Oh, it doesn't really matter because
so in
Adam's
the tradition
not a
of
vampire.
Push. I don't know. I can't think. The Zohar and Jewish mysticism, for example, the 11th century writings of Isaac ben Jacob HaKohen. Cohen. Is it funny then, is it? Lilith left Adam after she refused to become subservient to him, and then would not return to the Garden of Eden after she had coupled with the archangel Samael. So she was a bit of a slag, our Lilith.
Oh dear.
Interpretations of Lilith found in later Jewish materials are plentiful, but little information has survived relating to the Sumerian, Akkadian. Is that the Sargon?
Sumer, Akkad, Babylon. Those ones.
Assyrian as well. View this class of demons. Well, researchers, if she was made from the same clay as Adam, she can't be a demon, then, can she?
Swamp Gas says, everything came from me. I'm currently travelling over Venus.
Yeah, Swamp Gas over Venus. Swamp Gas. Yeah. I love our fans. They listen to everything we say, don't they?
Yeah.
So anyway, this is the bit I wanted to read out. In Hebrew language text, the term Lilith or Lilith, translated as night creatures, night monster, night hag or screech owl. So remember that if you're a hipster that called your kid Lilith. First occurs in the list of animals in Isaiah 34, either in singular or plural form according to variations in the earliest manuscripts. The Isaiah 34:14 Lilith reference does not appear in most common Bible translations such as KJV and NIV. Commentators and interpreters often envision the figure of Lilith as a dangerous demon of the night who is sexually wanton and who steals babies in the darkness. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, the term first occurs in a list of monsters. Jewish magical inscriptions on bowls and amulets from the 6th century AD onwards identify Lilith as a female demon and provide the first visual depictions of her. So is she the first Yenta then? Is that what they're trying to say?
Or the patron saint of them.
The patron saint of Yentas, is that what she is?
The patron saint of being Judge Judy. She does a prayer to Lilith I mean, we laugh about it, but there's probably something close to the truth with what we just said. But you're looking doodling pad. You see that thing there? Is that can we do that on YouTube? Because this is the bit of the real crux of the matter. I mean, I'm ready to get into the second bit of my findings, where we're getting the
I found the bit
interesting
from
stuff.
3414 that mentions her. And shall meet wildcats with jackals. The goat he calls his fellow. Lilith, she rests and she finds rest. 3415, there she shall nest, the great owl, and she lays eggs, and she hatches, and she gathers under shadow. Hawks, kites, gleeds, also they gather, every one with its mate.
Not sure what to make of that saying, but
Yeah.
so you ever heard of a disease called porphyria, or the King's disease?
Oh, they also call her a lamia as well in here. It says the translation is, "And demons shall meet with monsters, and one hairy one shall cry out to another. There is the lamia has laid down and found rest for herself." So the lamia
She's very
could
beloved
be,
by the witchcraft people, the witchcraft woman Lilith.
yeah. That them and hipsters.
There's a
The hipsters.
there's a
Well, there's that thing,
there's
the Lilith Fair, isn't that like just fucking like infested with hipsters, isn't it?
Yeah, and they have the scary jewelry. I don't know.
Oh,
Sorry.
scary jewelry.
No point.
So I found some interesting screen caps from the 4chans, and I don't know much about poetry, by the way. It's one of those art forms I don't really appreciate. But did you know there's a poet Browning? So I want to read this thing out here. I think I can get away with it. I'm an English teacher. By the way, this isn't my word, so everything I'm saying here, just put in your mind in Minecraft. I'm an English teacher, and Browning is my favourite poet. My favourite of his poems is Porphyria's Lover.
Is this going to be problematic, is it, Hobbit?
Porphyria's Lover?
Yeah.
I'm looking at that bowl you're putting. That bowl's Lilith. And,
Yeah, that's supposed to be Lilith in the middle. She's good looking gal, isn't she?
Oh, yeah.
She looks a bit like Mr. Ben. Is that Mr. Ben's missus? Is that the thing with Mr. Ben? He's really married to Lilith?
Poor Mr. Ben.
She looks like she's a self-harmer as well. You see all those stripes on her arms and legs?
It was it that was telling me that Mr. Ben goes to that shop and basically he's a dealer who gives him LSD, sticks him into a closet with a costume, and just says, you're a deep sea diver, you're going to go on a mermaid's adventure, or, no, you're an astronaut this week, you're going to go into deep space.
Ian with the references that the chat are going to get, Roland Browning from Grange Hill. Do you remember Roland, Hobbit?
Oh yeah, the famous poet Roland Browning from Grange Hill.
Yeah, Roland.
So he did a poem from Grange Hill, Porphyria's Lover.
Roland. Do you remember his little black
So-
mate? That little black girl who was always trailing after him.
Oh, that's not the one. It's not your fault. It's a knick-knock.
No, she used to go, Roland.
So, my favourites of poems.
Oh,
is
Jim
Porphyria's
Cook said she's got robot arms. She might have robot arms.
They do look like Robbie the Robot's arms, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I got
Harvey Rape
curious
says,
about.
Harvey like Roland.
No, actually, I'm going to refer back to. Was it Hollowworth?
I forgot. We've got a comment on the comment from Officer Dribble says, "What a load of old shit." But that reminds me, we've got some listener mail. Where is it? Ian sent it to me. So we've got some listener mail. This is a. Martin Dimblesnatch says, "This is the worst podcast I've ever heard. All over the place, joking and laughing in most parts at the tragic case, and something which was totally disrespectful to living members of the West family concerned. After a few short clicks running through the contents, I was disgusted with some of the language and switched off the boring and offensive contents. Suggest you lay off the booze while trying to present any future podcasts." You stay out of this, Mum.
I can't even attribute my schizo posting to alcohol. I don't. I mean, you know when I get drunk because that's when I decide to play Euro Truck Simulator.
It's nice to see old Officer Dribble still listen to us, even though he's been sucking up to PA.
Oh, good for him. Good for him. So there was a previous episode of 4TM Words we did about Hollow Earth or underground bases.
Oh, also, if you go all the way back to episode 7, you will hear the Highgate vampire, where Bishop Sean Manchester absolutely did kill a vampire.
Ah, I don't remember it. Oh, mind you, I know
that was just. I think that was just me, and I think that was when you were on hiatus. So that was just me and Zero.
Oh no, episode 7 would have been the K-Bit era.
No, it wasn't. That was what was it? The last Caber episode was Greta Thunberg.
Ah, okay, because I was just thinking about that. He's definitely not got ancient wisdom. That's somebody completely different. Doesn't know any Caber whatsoever.
Yeah,
but. There was an episode, I remember doing it because I was talking about the underground bases and how they're apparently one of the reasons we got these lockdowns is that keep everyone home.
Was that Hollow Earth, was it, Hobbit? I think it was Hollow Earth.
I think it was Hollow Earth, yeah. And I was talking, one of the things which really struck me is, and then I found it to be true, 800,000 children a year go missing. And the schizo posting was just saying, yeah, they're being like taken to these underground realms and they're doing awful things with them. But funny enough, that 800,000 number gets mentioned again in this thing. So now let's go on to what this guy from 4chan, who's not me, says about Porphyria's lover. If you look at Ernest trying to understand Porphyria, the king's disease, then you'll find a disease called Tay-Sachs. Symptoms which only afflicts Ashkenazi Jews. The only place that it can be cured is in Israel, or treated like really. There's
what
no
is
cure.
Tay-Sachs disease? I hear it talk. I hear it spoken about quite a lot, but I've got no fucking idea what it is.
Well, funny enough, if you look in the 4TM Words Telegram group, I did post about Tay-Sachs and its symptoms, and I'm going to be listing those off later. And no one says how. I found out it's blood and bone marrow. The Jews are a dead race. Their very DNA seeks to destroy them. Within 5 generations, no citations given in this, by the way, within 5 generations, if not interbred with constituents of the races around them, Ashkenazi Jews will begin to degrade with disorders and defects pertaining to Hume and DNA. What's that word saying? To Hume and DNA, HUME, whatever that is. Essentially, their bodies refuse to hold them together. I am not a religious man, but if I were, I would say they have no souls. That the inborn spirit of God, which is negentropy, is not within them, so they must steal it from others. Negentropy sounds like a fancy way of saying
fucking
order.
hell. Tay-Sachs disease is a genetic disorder that results in the destruction of nerve cells in the brain and spinal cord.
It's pretty bad.
Apparently it becomes apparent about 3 to 6 months of age, though, Hubbard.
Yes.
So just so people know what this does, it becomes apparent at 3 to 6 months of age, baby losing the ability to turn over, sit or crawl. This is then followed by seizures, hearing loss and the inability to move, with death usually occurring by the age of 3 to 5.
Hmm.
When you're saying these people these children are being treated, are they actually being treated, or do you think they're being swapped out for another child?
Well, I couldn't.
Because this sounds quite
that.
a bit like the. Did you listen to the fairy episode?
No, I only caught like the first 15 minutes of it, or the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, have a listen to it, because in that they mention the changeling, which is when a
What,
baby is swapped out for another baby, and this baby is usually has cot death or stuff like that.
So, Tay-Sachs, it's why 800,000 children go missing in the US. It's why wars are waged. It's why there exists the term blood libel. It's why they're expelled time and time again. It's why HRC has an interest in... I assume that means Hillary Rodham Clinton. Has an interest in Haiti. It's why all satanic paedophilic groups drain the blood.
I have information that will lead to the arrest and imprisonment of Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Oh, nice knowing you, mate. So then it just
don't worry, lads. I'm well insured. Mrs. Gray will be well looked after.
Yeah. So I went on. I've tried to find information I could about porphyria. So there's the Mayo Clinic.
Taken care of, you mean?
Yeah. Yes. Hello, Ensign. So porphyria. It refers to a group of disorders that result
Ensign
from the
Crusher.
build-up of... Yes. Ensign Crush. Natural chemicals that produce porphyrin in your body. Porphyrins are essential for the function of hemoglobin, a protein in your red blood cells that links to porphyrin, binds iron, carries oxygen to your organs and tissues. High levels of porphyrins can cause significant problems. There are two general categories of porphyria: acute, which mainly affects the nervous system, and cutaneous, which mainly affects the skin. So let's go into acute porphyria. Acute porphyrias include forms of the disease that typically...
So is porphyria the same as Tay-Sachs? What's the link between porphyria and Tay-Sachs then?
Well, here's the thing. You see, acute porphyria, which is a blood disorder, which can be treated with blood transfusions. Acute, which mainly affects the nervous system. So this is the thing. I thought, okay, first of all, let's find out, is there a disease called porphyria? Yes, there is. So symptoms of acute porphyria: severe abdominal pain, pain in your chest, legs or back, constipation or diarrhea, nausea and vomiting, muscle pain, tingling, numbness, weakness or paralysis, red or brown urine, mental changes such as anxiety, confusion, hallucinations, disorientation, paranoia, breathing problems, urination problems. I mean, I wouldn't want to pee if I had brown piss. Rapid or irregular heartbeats you can feel, palpitations, high blood pressures and seizures. So that's the acute porphyria. So then after that, I thought, okay, let's look up. What did I look up later?
So paranoia is part of it. Tay-Sachs sufferers get paranoia.
Oh, okay. So, that's it. After that, I looked up the poem Porphyria's Lover. Was there anything pertinent from that? Let's see. Porphyria worshipped me surprise, made my heart swell, and it grew while I debated what to do. The moment she was mine fair, perfectly pure and good, I found a thing to do in all her hair. In one long yellow string I wound 3 times her little throat around and strangled her. No pain felt she. I'm quite sure she felt no pain. Okay, interesting poem. But anyway, so that's the poem. And then after I did that, that's it. I looked up Tay-Sachs disease, which you've just read the symptoms of.
Yeah.
So the risk factors. Risk factors of Tay-Sachs include having ancestors from Eastern and Central European Jewish communities, Ashkenazi Jews, certain French-Canadian communities in Quebec, older Amish community in Pennsylvania, or Cajun community of Louisiana.
You know why it's called Tay-Sachs disease, I bet?
Yes, I do.
You can tell us.
I will. So, hang on. Wait. I thought I found like the name Tay-Sachs. Oh no, that's probably in.
The disease is named
with...
after British ophthalmologist Warren Tay, who in 1881 first described a symptom